Peace, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Silver Tongue Gorillas. And today, what I want to talk to you guys about is a major rule of game. I'm going to do that over. Peace, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Silver Tongue Gorillas. And today, what I want to talk to you gentlemen about is a major rule of game. See, you got guys that believe that the way to overcome your problems with women is by having game. Okay, now at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say that is 100% wrong. Okay, but what I'm gonna say is that having game, the lack of game, whether your game is blue pill or red pill, what this ultimately boils down to is if you caught a fish, you caught a fish. Point blank, period. Okay? If you got the fish on your boat, you got the fish on your boat. This is what it ultimately boils down to. Game. Can you catch a fish, get it on the boat, fry it up, and eat it? That's what game boils down to. How to get a woman, how to keep a woman, this, that, and the third, right? But what we have to understand as men is that we're not governed by the same things that women are governed by. Therefore, we cannot try to run game on a woman in the ways that women run game on men. All right. So, what am I talking about? All right. Men run game overtly, and men have to run game overtly because society will not allow men to run game covertly. Okay, once society finds out you've been running the game covertly, they want to tear you down because they look at it as you preying on the weaker of the gender, on the more vulnerable of the gender. Okay, she's more vulnerable, she's more weak. Therefore, if you have her doing things without her knowing consent, this is something that can always backfire on you. That's one reason why it's not good to engage in too much covert game, okay, or have covert game as an overall solution to intergender dynamics. Then you have overt game, right, which is the masculine side of things, which is these are the rules. If you want to play, if you want to be a part of this, you could be a part of this. But remember, these are the rules and you got to play by my rules. Now, that's what game really is. Game is these are the rules and you got to play by my rules. It's not covertly getting somebody to play by your rules. That's blue pill game. And pardon me, one of the people that think they are gods in the manosphere, a godfather to the red pill, Rollo Tomasi, thinks that covert game is how you drum up the desire dynamic. I'm gonna tell you what a pimp told me. Make your burnout a turnout. All right, we're not here to covertly create desire. Either you running with us or you not running with us. And when you're not running with us, we'll see you later, because at the end of the day, you agreed to the rules before and we can't change the rules, because once people start seeing you change the rules and things of this nature, they start to doubt your leadership. Okay, so this is very important information for you gentlemen to digest right now. Let me say this as a side note. The original players, the original game makers are pimps and players. Not all of this new school stuff to solve intergender relationships. We're going to talk about that a little later, but let me give you a major rule of the game. Okay, a major rule of the game. One of them is your game has to be overt. All right. Secondly, your game is only as good as the structure that holds your game up. All right. So in the world of pimps and players, when a man is talking about game, the reason why his game is sufficient is because the other players and pimps are playing by the same rules. All right. If I'm not playing by the same rules as you, then we don't have a game. Okay. What we have is anarchy. What we have is a bunch of people doing their own thing. Why is this very important? Because see, what a lot of parents do, I'm giving you examples now. What happens when you are divided, what a lot of divorced parents notice is that the children play each other against them, and they also try to uh, use that to their advantage when they have a problem with the other parent. They will allow the kid to play them so that they can be vengeful to the other parent. But ultimately, what that does is it raises weaker children because they realize that there is no real structure here. All I got to do is drum up some issues, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to get my way. So therefore, a major key, the reason why I'm making this video, okay, is because the one thing that I learned from pimps and players is that there's a lay of the land, and 9 out of 10 pimps work together to enforce the rules of the game. All right. Until men bond together like pimps, game doesn't matter. This is something Rollo Tomasi doesn't understand. This is why your game is irrelevant. This is why you want to go MGTOW. This is why you want to go your own way. Because, oh, you got all of this game. Is that going to stop her from divorcing you? No. If the game is I can still get all his money, she'll let you think you got all the game in the world. That's what women do anyways. All right. So until the game is in your favor, or at least not so farly tilted, all your game is null and void. All right. So then I hear Rollo Tomasi today saying, well, why do you come here? Why do you even listen to this? Because at the end of the day, people get facts to help them push their narrative. So people come there because everything that you talk about is not centered around game. So people pick up a lot of different jewels and ways to frame concepts and ideas based off some of the content that you talk about. But that in no way means that at the end of the day, people are naturally just coming there for gain. And also, another misconception that's in the manosphere is that somehow MGTOW is not into game. MGTOW, most of the game that y'all dudes got, y'all got it from Tom Likas and dudes like that from that lineage before it was a label on it. The best shit don't have no label. But before it was a label on it, y'all get that from Tom Likas. And Tom Likas is a MGTOW. Go your own way. He's the one who laid down the game and see about no single parent mothers, about women hitting the wall. He was the one giving y'all all that game that y'all trying to act like Rollo Tomasi came up with. So at the end of the day, you know, my thing is this: humble yourself, dude. Humble yourself. It's dudes out here that's been doing this for a long time. But at the end of the day, you know, what we got to understand once again is a major rule of game is that you got to know you playing the game. All right. You got to know you playing the game. And this is one of the reasons why female game really doesn't work. The only reason why it's working now is because there's some overt rules that men put in place that allow them to benefit, which goes right back to what I said. All right. Outside of that, they don't, that the games that they playing, it's useful, but to be able to exploit that to the next level is because they have an overt force behind them, which is Big Daddy government, okay? And at the end of the day, what I'm basically telling y'all is that game is not always about what you do. Sometimes it's about what you don't do. Like not dating single mothers, like not going on coffee dates, like not waiting to have sex with a woman. These are all things that you get from MGTOW. This is all game you get from MGTOW. Most of the credible ideas that y'all following comes from MGTOW. And look, at the end of the day, regardless if it's red pill, blue pill, MGTOW, black pill, at the end of the day, I err on the side of facts and universal law and truth. All right. And you can't be biased to something and just pass it over to a certain side or give it a certain label and write off everything underneath something, because at the end of the day, all that means is that your cup is full, nothing else can be put in it, and you really here with a God complex. You really think you know everything, and you still got a lot to learn. All right. So now, but gentlemen, in me talking about all of this, I just want you to understand that the main thing that messes the game up is terrible players and pimps that don't follow the rules, that we guerrilla pimps, dudes that want to come in and make the block hot, make it difficult for everybody else to make money. In the manosphere, we call these people like white knights. We call these beta male orbiters that'll tell a woman whose feet smell like cheese doodles that it smell like, like it smell like they told smell like Febreze. These type of dudes that tell women they 40 that they the most popping ones out here on the dating market. These are the kind of dudes that are, mucking up the game, so to speak, to where it don't matter what you talking about. It don't matter how much game you got, because at the end of the day, she still believes she can get Jeff Bezos. She still believes she can get that guy out there making 7 figures that's a beta male simp. So ultimately, that's why it's important for us to educate each other. That way we can stop some of the bullshit that's going on in our society with women just using men for money and a paycheck. All right. But now, the only way, I'm going to say it again, game works as a sustainable solution is if it's overt. Everyone must agree to the terms. Manipulation is a female trait. Even though men can use it against women, ultimately it will backfire because society is set up to protect the quote unquote weak and vulnerable. So once everyone finds out you are covertly manipulating her, they will make sure you pay. And this is part of the reason why some of the laws are like they are now. Okay. So, and also, let me throw this out there for you gentlemen. Don't think because your plan worked for some men that you are a god, okay? Just like your plan works for some men, it doesn't work for others. And also, men who oppose you are also getting the same gratifying messages from their followers. So it may be good to see, okay, what are people getting out of it? Why are they going there? What are they learning? How is that helping them? Tom Likas was MGTOW, and he was teaching men how to get laid, basically, and not go through all of the bull crap. All right. So a lot of men said, thank you, Tom, for helping me to get laid. And the thing is, when it came to getting laid, it was all about putting in no effort. Why are you putting in any effort? See, Rollo Tomasi got all of these things in the book, but ultimately, he talking about putting in effort to get laid. Why do that? That's easy. That's not hard. That's not rocket science. You know what I mean? That's not rocket science. That's easy. All you got to do is have some balls, really, to get laid. All right. So now, at the end of the day, I'm saying a lot here, gentlemen, but follow me. Now, let's look at this. Another issue that I see is that, when we talk about game and all of this stuff, right? Many red pill men are quote unquote red pill men. To me, they not red pill. Because see, if you're just talking about intergender dynamics, but you're not talking about changing the system, then you're not red pill, because part of being in the red pill was looking at the system, going deeper into the matrix, and ultimately changing the system or deciding which system that you want to play in, but that system has to be created or it has to already exist, and so you can play by those rules. But many red pill men are avoiding the real fight that must be fought. Okay, now no matter how much game you have, if the system is drastically lopsided out of your favor, women will still take advantage of you, which is something I already said. Most men are pussies and terrified to do what must be done, which is tell women to shut the fuck up and sit down. Most men are pussies and they're afraid to do that. Therefore, they create all of these techniques to go around it, and they say, I'm gonna get out of it this way. You know what I'm gonna get out of it this way. I'm gonna avoid it this way. I'm gonna tell you what an OG told me when I was going through some issues, not in my relationship, but at a job I was working. He said, you're gonna let them people run you off. See, if you talking about going into a corner, that's never been a sustainable solution. If you're talking about how can I put this? If you're talking about just tapping out of the game, period, in terms of you not, a lot of MRAs catch flack, but I fuck with that. I like the idea of men rights activists because at the end of the day, who else is gonna do the real work? These are the people. You got the MGTOWs who have a great solution for how to deal with the situation in terms of right now, but where the MGTOW falls short to me is in the men rights activist space. Okay, and then you have, because not getting married and building families is not a long-term solution, it is a short-term solution. And where Rollo Tomasi and these other guys that want to get into relationships that criticize MRAs, where they got it twisted is they are still engaging in something that's lopsided to them, point blank, period, which limits their freedom and ability to be with a woman. If you get with a woman that you really like and you have to worry about, is the baby yours? She can lie about it. If you have to worry about her basically taking you to the cleaners financially if you get her pregnant, basically, you know that these things are not in your favor, and most men are not going to be able to abstain from these things over the course of time. So, red pill game or rational male game is short term, just like MGTOW. And the men rights activists are doing the real work of saying, hey, let's really change some of these laws. Let's really make some positive things happen. And this is the only way that the game is going to work. At the end of the day, gentlemen, you got to fess up to the point that if we can sit back and we can point the finger at women all day long and we can come up with different pussy solutions to try to curb a beast that we created. Now, you may be like, I didn't create it. Well, you did create it because you co-signed it. Before you became red pill, you co-signed it. And part of the reason you co-signed it is because your father gave it to you. And the part of the reason why he co-signed it is because his father probably semi gave it to him, or he didn't like the way his father was treating his mother. So he became an all-out feminist at the end of the day. All right. So what we got to understand is that, is it okay to abuse a woman? No. Is it okay to treat women unfair? No. Okay. But at the end of the day, you have to be careful not to allow a woman's feelings of entitlement to run your life. Okay? Now, I believe that within the right headspace, with the right type of thinking, such as my own, which is spiritual in nature, feng shui, astrology, I believe with the right thinking we can reconcile some things that we may feel like is feminine in nature, but actually it should be masculine. For example, I heard Rollo Tomasi talking today on a video about how women are coming into the workspace and they like, let's color the walls pink and let's do this and that to make it a more pleasurable place to work. You know, what I want to say about toxic masculinity is that when toxic masculinity is toxic, it's even toxic for the men that's not in the positions. So you can see what happened when Dale Carnegie and these men were running the country into the ground, and basically they had men working in coal mines and they had men working in factories to working them to death when you know people had to form unions because they were being grossly undertreated. All right, so there's a yin and yang to everything, and we have to be able to find a balance. But because people are not spiritually enlightened, because people don't know the way, they keep going swinging the pendulum so far over instead of trying to figure out how to bring harmony to a situation, which is what my specialty is. All right, but at the end of the day, in all things, you have so when you talk about painting and coming in and making a place beautiful, it's very important to be conscious and aware of space. This is what feng shui consultants do. So this is not feminine in nature at all. This is human in nature. We all have the desire for prosperity and long-term success. So anywho's, man, I just wanted to come in here and let y'all, you know, talk to the fellas real quick and let y'all know what was on my mind, what was on my chest. I know I went on a couple of rants. I hope you got something out of it. But the major thing that I wanted you to take away from all of this is that a major rule of game is that there has to be overt rules and standards in order for the game to even matter. Peace, y'all.